Hello everyone, this is Tony. I'm doing the audio commentary track for the New York Files, the complete 7th season. Season 7, oh shit. Well, this is definitely a season to remember. A lot of stuff had happened before the season started, and a lot of stuff had happened after the season ended. I guess I'll start with the stuff that happened before the season started. Before the season started, as I previously mentioned in the Season 6 commentary, I had gotten fired from Davis. And so when I got fired from Davis, that was at the end of... No, it wasn't. Yeah, I think it would have been about the middle or end of May. But what I do remember was I got fired from Davis. And so I got fired from Davis, and it took me about, I want to say almost a month to find a new job. And while all that was going on, I was living with my folks. I've been living with my folks. They had decided to move, and I had joined them in the moving. We just moved a few towns over. And, so we were still dealing with the move. We were dealing with me looking for new work. So all that was breaking down, and the show was hopefully set to start new production by the summer. So what ended up happening was this season ended up starting in July, which is actually one of the rarest things to happen. I've never had a season start in July, at least not until about 2018, if that makes any sense. Because I know this wasn't the only show that started in July. I think the 6th season of Mini Review started in July, which was weird as well. But yeah. And I guess I'm brushing over the episode itself, but this is Chrono Saturn, and the idea for this episode came from the notion that I was just like, I've been collecting games, at least at that point, for about 14 years. I had never gotten a Sega Saturn. I really want to get one, and I finally just said, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna get a Saturn, and I did. And the Saturn unintentionally became a part of a trilogy of episodes I had done. And that trilogy of episodes is what I'll call the last great 90s console search. 3 episodes I'd done in a row, surprisingly enough, that all mainly focused on 90s games. So yeah. And the funny thing is, with the Saturn episode, I had kind of originally intended the idea to center around not only the Saturn, but a Laserdisc player. In fact, the original title for the episode was going to be called Sega Tactus Lasero. And the reason it did not happen was because the Laserdisc player I had looked at was, of course, at Goodwill. Ended up being sold before I even had a chance to buy it and show it off. So I was kind of upset about that, but, you know, you just move on. So now we're in the Isle of Troy Fall 64. I don't really have much to say about this episode. I think the most I can say is this is the first episode where I went to Troy. And I'm actually being serious on that. Like, this was the first time I went to Troy. And this was before... This is before I... No, this was after. This was after I moved. Because I could tell by the stuff in the back. All my junk is still sitting in the back. God, I'm trying to think of what else to say for that one. But I guess the reason I went to Troy was there was a Pastime Legends location up there, which I became aware of. And so I went all the way up there, Like, first time I went in, I'm like, cool, great, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna, find a lot of cool stuff, great time. Kind of not, it was kind of a mixed bag, but, got the N64, later, had it modded with the help of, Otto and Chris over at Vortex, which, Vortex wasn't still as one of those great shops I like going to a lot. Friendly guys, Otto and Chris who run it. Always love going in there and just striking up a conversation with those two. It's always interesting. Actually, I've gotten a lot of good stuff from their shop. Most recently, I got the Sonic Gems collection for the GameCube, which that is a hard to come by game right now. And I ended up getting my hands on a copy for $30. There's Isle of Dogs, and of course Gravity Falls, which for a lot of people who don't know, I'm a big Gravity Falls fan. Still love the show. I've actually gotten really into the Owl House, which was done by most of the crew from Gravity Falls. And it's funny because Alex Hirsch is in Owl House now playing King, which I think, other than Ida, has been my favorite character in that show. So, anyway. So, yeah, that's pretty much this episode.
Take care, everyone.
Don't think I got much else to say. I think also the first time we used an executive producer credit this season, which, I mean, doing that was kind of a new thing. And I guess the other thing I could say is this was the first season we started editing with VSDC free editor instead of Movie Maker. I guess I should explain, the reason why we did it was because Movie Maker started glitching up around that time, which was odd. So I just had to make the switch. I had no choice. It was either that or After Effects or Sony Vegas, and I can't get any of the latter two to work, so this was the only one I had. So this is Sega's Forgotten Replays, the classic Gold Edition. This is a mouthful of an episode, at least for the title. But it's funny because I think the original title I had was just Forgotten Replays. And the idea of adding Sega's in front of that and then the classic Gold Edition, it makes no sense. I'll be honest. But it is the end of the trilogy, though. The trilogy of episodes. And this episode is also interesting because there is a little fact behind the end credits. In the original version of this episode, the first version that went up, the end credit song was Keep On Searching by Del Shannon, which the only reason I chose that song was because it was, again, one of those stories of hearing a song over and over again on the work radio, and that was a song that played on over and over again when I started working at Parodies, which, that's the other thing. This is the first season in which I was working at Parodies, so the episodes, had to kind of switch up a bit. Anyway, so I hear that song over and over again, and no joke, it took me about a month to figure out the name of that song. I would just hear it over and over again. If we were packed, I would try to be as quiet the minute I heard that song on the radio. I'd just be quiet, trying to figure out the name of the song. Just going, come on, what's the name of the song? It was mind-boggling. Just trying to figure this one out. But eventually I did, and I thought, it'd be cool to kind of throw it in the ending here. Bad idea. Bad idea, because it got me freaking copyright claimed. And for all intents and purposes, for this commentary, I will use the original version. I'm just going to turn it really down, so you're not going to really hear much. But, yeah, just shocking. And it's more shocking because, like, the next 2 episodes also have music, and I'm, like, licensed music for the end credits. And like, one of them, like, didn't even get claimed. The other one did. We ended up changing that one, too. But, like, it's just shocking. But for anyone that follows me on Facebook, anyone who's in the group, you can watch the original version there. For anyone who isn't, I've been debating on whether or not to put it up on the Google Drive and just have people download the episode. I might do that for people. I think that might be a good idea. But yeah, so that's that episode. So let's talk about the next one here. This is Anime's Summer Swan Song. This is my personal favorite episode of Season 7. I know it's shocking. I have a personal favorite. But this is my personal favorite episode. The reason is because this episode was shot all over the summer. I'm not lying. The story behind this episode is... This episode is what I call a bank episode. It was an episode I, again, shot over the summer and had actually planned for it to be the premiere of Season 7. But of course, things happened and I ended up pushing it off and just decided to hold on to it, not really release it yet. Decided to keep editing on it, and eventually became the midpoint, which kind of worked out well. But this episode... I don't know what I really want to say. This episode kind of came out of just all the craziness I was dealing with like getting fired, having the move happen, and then on top of all that, at least with me, having to deal with waiting for my apartment because of prior situations with the previous tenant that they were still trying to fix, all that going on. But that was all mass confusion, mass craziness. Tried to overcome that by just working on video. So, why is this my personal favorite? It just has a lot of my favorite stuff in it. I think it was just like the biggest pile of like just my favorite things I got. That I was so happy to get. One in particular, which when we get to it I'll point it out, but I was just super happy to find. Yeah, it's got the Famicom edition in there. Interesting. Yes, this episode took like 3 months to produce. It still wasn't even all of it. It was still just like a good chunk. Like, if we would have done all of it, this probably would have been the longest episode of not only the season, I think maybe of at least the first 8 seasons. Just with all the stuff we've done. And actually, I wanted to keep filming more clips, but I just didn't. Here we go. This is my favorite thing I had ever gotten on the show. My Jessie figurine. I found that at Vortex out of the blue. I was like, oh my god, it exists. And of course, the sticker got placed right on the crotch. So, here I am trying to peel it off. I showed it to my friend. She's like, why is the crotch all sticky? I'm going, sticker. They placed a sticker over it, okay? But it was like the best thing I ever got. Ironically, I think maybe about a year later, I ended up finding James. Same shop. James had the little thing on him, like the little plastic stand. I switched the plastic stand from James to Jessie, and end of story. But, yeah. So then, there's this stuff with the Crunchyroll box. And for many of you who've been on this channel for a good long while, you know this was previously uploaded as a preview clip. I added it into the episode because it was still technically part of that branching summer that I had to like deal with all the craziness. I was out and about. And I actually think this was the first thing we had shot in Saratoga too. That was a first. But the joke of all this is I humorously spent $30 for one Funko Pop. Yeah, I'm not joking. Out of everything in that box, the only thing I really wanted was that Toru figure. That was it. That was literally it. But everything else, I mean, it was cool, I guess. I'm not a big fan of Mob Psycho 100. I'm just being honest. Like, it's something I would watch, but like I wouldn't like say like, oh, it's my favorite. And like Ancient Magnus Bride, another one where I'm like, you know, it's nothing I would really watch. But like, the real reason I bought it was just for the Tiny Toru. That was it. That was literally it. I spent the $30 for the Tiny Toru figurine. Oh, it's madness. I'm laughing about it because I'm thinking about it. It's hilarious. But yeah, and it's funny because like everything is still in the box. I have not taken anything out, not trade anything in, nothing. It's all still sitting in the box, still sitting in the closet. And the other funny thing is I think either before or after that box, I want to say I went back to Saratoga and I got a Kobayashi t-shirt, which my plan was to actually use that in a planned Kobayashi episode of mini reviews. Of course, probably not going to happen, but I still have the shirt, haven't actually worn it yet. And I don't know, I mean, still a lot of fun. But that was Anime Summer Swan Song. It was also the last episode that was shot when Toys R Us was around. So I had to give them their tribute there. So now we're on to Project J Puzzle League. If I could be brutally honest, this is the episode that made me realize what the following show was going to be. This was the episode that made me want to do Imported Monthly. And I'm not lying on that. I would say this episode was the main influence, with the partial influences being Day of Surprises, and I'm trying to think of the other one I was thinking about. I was thinking about this the other day, when I was thinking like, what influenced me to want to do that show. But this was the main episode. Day of Surprises is one of the partial episodes. I want to say Ultimate. No, not Ultimate. It would have been Goodwill Salvation Troy in the next season was another reason that I wanted to do it. So just those 3 episodes, along with also a little bit of my nostalgia for doing family updates, made me just say like, all right, let's do an importing show for our next series. What could happen? What could possibly go wrong? Lots of things. But anyway, so where did this episode come from? Well, it started off with 2 N64 imports that were at Vortex that I'd eyed up and that I had hoped to God were still there a week or so later. And when they were, I grabbed them, bought them, took them home, and put them on a shelf. I actually did open them up and played them eventually. Actually, I think it was maybe about 5 or 6 months ago I started playing them. Ogre Battle 64 is good. It's not great. I know I'm probably going to get a lot of comments for that one, but again, being honest, Wonder Project J2 just threw me off completely. And I think it was because like I'm not used to it. I guess I should say in a way I'm not used to it. Like I didn't play the first one. Because I honestly didn't. No. No, I realized the first one existed. It was more or less the it was the factor of just not having it available. And I guess the other thing I should say is I threw a little shade here at Did You Know Gaming, although I'll be, again, brutally honest. I went back to rewatch the episode, and I realized, oh shit, they did talk about the sequel, and I just didn't get to that point in the episode. That's why during the end credits, if you watch it, you see that I added a little thing at the end saying, in regards to the Did You Know Gaming crew, I didn't realize you did talk about this, but, you know, my apologies. Hopefully water under the bridge. And to my surprise, nothing happened. Actually, yeah, nothing happened. But yeah, that's pretty much this episode. Again, end credits had a copyright song, All Summer Long by the Beach Boys. Had to change it. This version, we're just going to play it a little more quieter, so you don't hear it at all. Alright, I guess we should get to the next episode, which is September end. And that episode I had initially intended to be the season finale at one point. Actually, I guess it gets me to the topic of season 7 in general, because the story with season 7, at least by this point, I would say by the point we got to September end and Interview with the Winds Online, we were kind of debating on how this should work out. There was a part of me that wanted season 7 to be the final season. The reason I think I wanted it to be the ending was I thought, alright, we did, you know, an additional 4 seasons onto the original Michigan Files. Odd One Out's book. Now he has a second one coming out, and I gotta get that. Anyway. But I don't know, I thought, like, okay, we did 4 onto the original 3 from Michigan. I don't know, it felt like a natural progression that, like, yeah, we should end. In fact, I kind of planned for season 7 to kind of work out in a weird way that we did, like, 12 episodes. Because, we'll probably go more into this in the season 8 commentary, but there was 1 or 2 episodes from season 8 that we had held over from season 7 so that we could have some more episodes for season 8. But just a certain point-blank range of events happen that made me say, no, we're doing an 8th season. And then season 8 happens, and now we're like, okay, now the show's ending. I guess I should get into the whole story now. So this isn't the last episode of the season. We did Interview with the Winds Online, which would air in October. But this was the proposed last episode for the season. Of course, again, we did Interview with the Winds Online, ended up becoming the finale. So after this episode, we were kind of looking through the calendar, because we just thought, like, okay, we might as well, you know, at this point, set up the air dates for the remainder of the season, set up the premiere date for the new show, you know, because in our minds we're thinking, okay, it's going to start in 2019, which we're technically still right on, but anyway, so we were setting all that up, and while we were looking through the calendar, we realized there is an extra week in November that we'll get paid. And we thought, take advantage of that. Let's do something interesting. And something interesting ended up being, let's finally do a New York City episode. Yeah, we'll definitely do that. Of course, we had to plan really far ahead, so we started planning the New York City episode, I want to say, after this episode, possibly. It makes sense that it was after this episode. The interview with the Winds Online was a last-minute addition. But yeah, so we started planning out the New York City episodes, and we were like, okay, of course it's gonna be a three-parter, and it's gonna be a big event, and we were going through all the money and stuff. We're going okay, we can save here, just pay the bills here, don't buy anything there. If we need to, we'll do this, we'll do that, tip for tat, tap for tip. Good, done, got it. Yeah. So it's kind of hard for me to talk about this because there's a part of me that wants to talk about what happened after this season. There's a part of me that wants to wait until season 8 to fully get into it. I guess for the most part, unexpected events happen. And those unexpected events kind of led to a spiral for a while. Spiral kind of led to a changing of ideas. And then the changing of ideas led to Interview with Monster Girls. Love that series. Changing of ideas led to a more interesting season. And then the more interesting season led to God, I hoped it was a good idea for an ending. And then, God, I hope it was a good idea for an ending, led to a cancellation of that said ending. And then just us starting up Important Monthly soon after. Like I said, I'll fully get into it in season 8 when we get to that commentary, but I guess the most I can say for now is this was kind of the end of an era for the show, if that makes sense. This was the end of just a certain point. I'm not saying I had a jump the shark moment, but it had more of a kind of, here's where the white whale finally sinks back into the ocean. And now you got to figure out what minnow's going to attract it back out. But again, it's something to fully get into in the 8th season commentary. Just for now, just kind of keep in your head that idea that something big was on the horizon. But with all that said, this is Tony. I am signing out. I will see you guys next time.